A tiny reason to renew your mind. There was a particular gum I loved as a child, not just for the sweetness, for the wrapper. Each wrapper had questions printed on it, current affairs, little facts about the world. I would chew the gum and read the wrapper at the same time, answering every question as if it were an exam I actually wanted to pass. When I had no money to buy it, I would walk through the streets collecting wrappers people had thrown away, just to have something to read. I tell you this not as a charming detail, but as the earliest picture I have of what drove me toward the question I eventually gave my life to. The question of how things work, not how they appear, how they actually work. In my mid-20s, that question found its deepest form. The meaning of life, the nature of God, the architecture of human experience. I went searching through churches, classrooms, online teachings, spiritual classics, and one particular sermon broke something open for me. It was a teaching on the law of the mind, and within it, a single observation drawn from one of the most misread stories in all of Scripture, the Tower of Babel. Most people read it as a story of divine judgment, God interrupting the ambition of men by scattering their language and halting their construction. But there is something else in that passage, something that reveals not just what God did, but the principle by which it was possible. God does not halt the building by removing the materials. He does not destroy the foundation or collapse the structure. He changes the mind. Specifically, he changes the agreement between minds. And the moment the minds disagree, the project stops. Not because the physical resources are gone, but because the inner architecture that was producing the outer result has been disrupted. This is the principle. The outer life does not produce the inner life. The inner life produces the outer life. And the primary instrument of the inner life, the one thing through which everything else flows, is the mind. Here is what years of research into the mind eventually clarified for me. Laws govern life, not rules imposed from outside, but principles woven into the fabric of reality itself. These laws have two natures: the invisible, the divine principles that operate at the level of spirit and consciousness, and the visible, the natural principles that manifest those invisible realities in the physical world. The mind sits between them. Think of it as a filter. Invisible divine laws flow through the mind, and what emerges on the other side shapes your natural experience, the circumstances, the patterns, the recurring outcomes of daily life. If the filter is clean, if the mind contains laws that are aligned with the divine, what flows through it is life-giving, coherent, effective. If the filter is clogged, if the mind is running laws that are inferior, limited, or simply wrong, what flows through it reflects that. The outer life becomes the visible evidence of what the inner filter contains. Now here's where the problem begins. From infancy, the mind is a blank slate. Not empty, but open, waiting for instruction, ready to receive whatever laws are placed within it. And what most of us received through family, culture, religion, and experience were the laws of man, not the laws of God. The laws of man are not evil, and they are simply limited. Man, being a finite and still developing being, has a partial understanding of life, and the laws installed in us from that partial understanding produce partial results. Effort without compounding, faith without agency, work without transformation, a life that moves but does not arrive. This is the source of the inefficiency most people feel in their daily experience. Not a character failure, not a spiritual deficiency, a filter problem. The wrong laws are running inside the instrument that governs everything else. The solution is simple to state, daunting to implement. Replace the inferior laws with superior ones. This is what mind renewal actually is, beneath the spiritual language and the scriptural instruction. Not a motivational exercise, not the repetition of positive thoughts until they drown out the negative ones. A genuine replacement. The laws of man, limited, partial, installed before you had the capacity to evaluate them, exchanged for the laws of God. The principles of the divine nature, life, intelligence, abundance, creativity, love, installed in the instrument that then expresses them into your natural experience. When the filter contains divine law, what passes through it into your outer life reflects divine law, not as magic, and as the entirely lawful operation of a mind finally running what it was designed to run. This is the tiny reason, small enough to stay in a single line, large enough to reorganize an entire life around. When you renew your mind, you replace inferior laws with superior ones within it. And what flows from a mind running superior laws is a life that reflects them. Not eventually, inevitably. The mind is not a background feature of your spiritual life. It is the instrument through which your spiritual life becomes your actual life. Renew it not once, daily. With the same seriousness a child once gave to collecting gum wrappers off the street, because something in him already knew that what was written on them mattered. Read the full article at lifewordcoaching.substack.com. The link is in the description. And if this gave you one clear reason to begin, that is enough. Begin.